Hi, I'm Carlisle Hashim, and this is the Carlisle Hashim Show here at the Avalon Theater in Easton. And we are so proud, so happy to have Amy Abrams with us today. She is a writer, and she has 2 books coming out.
So the title of the book is Shank in the 21st Century, The Myth of the Hero and the Truth of America. He's a pop artist, which means that he's taking icons and imagery of the West and appropriating them. So a lot of his images are cowboys and Indians. Probably the most famous pop artist that most people know is Andy Warhol. People would be familiar with his soup can series, for example, or his Brillo boxes. So what pop artists do is they take everyday items like supermarket items or advertising images or even comic book illustrations, and they're saying this is art. So while Bill Shank is celebrating the West by a lot of his imagery, he lives there and he loves the landscape, and his mastery of color is often used to underscore the beauty of the land. He's also poking fun at the myth of the cowboy, and he's questioning the 100-year PR campaign that we've given the cowboy through railroad promoters and radio serials and Wild West shows, country westerns, movies, Hollywood shoot-'em-up westerns, Pulp Fiction. We've made the cowboy the hero when really he was a lawless laborer. He always saved the day, he always got the girl. And so Billy's exploring this myth. Billy's work, a lot of it is inspired by cinematography. He loves the movies and he loves westerns. So he often uses stills of westerns as inspiration for his work.
That creative control, and you're looking at an artist and you're saying, okay, this is his work at this point in time. How do you delve into that topic at this point in time versus where he was before, or where you think he might be going?
That's an interesting question. Certainly, the current work that somebody's producing very much relates to the context, who they are, how they grew up, what their early work was, what inspires them, where they happen to be living, what they're going through at the time. All of it, it's multifactorial. It determines where they are at that moment and why they're saying what they're saying. So it's part of what I really love about what I do, is that it's required that I delve in.
Mm-hmm. Let's segue into Ed Fischel, and he, as an artist, allowed you to come into his Sag Harbor.
Eric Fischel?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric Fischel.
Sure, Eric Fischel.
Allowed you to come into his Sag Harbor studio and learn not only about his work, but about him as that bad boy.
Okay, we talk about Eric Fischel. That was a fun story to do. Eric is very forthcoming that painting is an emotional process for him. I think many people create out of a need to find out what's happening inside of themselves. So Eric grew up in Long Island in what you might define as a highly dysfunctional family. He's really come through, but his mother was a severe alcoholic. He grew up in Port Washington. It's just funny because it was 2 towns over from where I grew up in Great Neck, so we had that little bond. And he, I think, has been processing that pain of his childhood through his art. It's sort of, you know, it's the joke that the artist suffers and, you know, then they emote, but there's truth in the humor. And what's interesting specifically about his process in working through his childhood issues is that he will begin with characters that relate to the primary family figures and begin in a place of regret or anger. And as he's painting, he develops compassion for these characters in the narrative of his paintings, and many of his paintings are narratives.
Oh, no, you had an interview with her after John Lennon died, and many people don't know that he was an artist in a different fashion than we know him as the musician.
Yes, I indeed was surprised to learn that John attended art school before he decided to take music as his primary means of creative self-expression. And Yoko Ono, his wife, felt that she wanted to share some of these beautiful pieces that he drew and painted with the public. And so several shows took place across the country, enabling me to have the opportunity to interview her about his work and her life with him.
Speaking of art galleries, right down the street there is going to be an exhibit of James Turrell. And you know James, and could you tell us about his art?
Oh, I'd be happy to tell you about James and his art. I'm a big fan. We're very lucky here on the Eastern Shore to have James Turrell as a resident. He has a home in Oxford. He has homes in other areas of the country. But and a show will take place April through July, James Turrell Perspectives. James is probably one of the most famous artists in the world right now, which also has an exhibition that illustrates James' magnum opus, his 30-year ongoing project, which is the Rodin Crater Project in northern Arizona, which I had the great fortune to go see, even though it's not complete. And that is a extinct volcanic crater made into a celestial observatory. Just a tiny little thing going on in Arizona. And it is anticipated to be the largest artwork in the world.
It's awesome. Let's talk about your opus and The Cage and the Key that's coming out soon.
Okay, I have a book coming out in May. It's a novel called The Cage and the Key, and it primarily takes place in New York City. The protagonist, Celia, is in art school, and she has a lurid affair with her painting professor, which gets her to think that the choices she's making in the man department are kind of nothing but trouble when this thing eventually busts up, or inevitably progresses forward toward happily ever after. Some saboteurs from her past threaten to topple her, as does the big bad business world. And so I'm intending that her narrative is an inspiration for women as they pursue happiness in work and in life. I think women are looking for something more, and in some ways I've used a novel, a fast and fun-paced novel. Oh, I'd love to read this. A sort of fast-paced novel as an entertaining way to give a guide to women who were seeking female empowerment. That was what I decided to do. This is the prologue. This is the introduction to the novel. It's 2 short paragraphs, and I'm very happy to read it. The story opens in the celestial planes before it takes place here on planet Earth. She nods to the council. An understanding is acknowledged by all that she has agreed she will undertake the assignment without knowledge of her skills, without access to her power. Placing her palms together in prayer above her head, her silhouette a mountain crest against the full moon, she descends down, liquid silver magic elixir, changing shape. Amidst a dream, her identity is erased. Yet even upon awakening, she will not remember. To gain awareness of this sacred covenant, she will wait 50 years. Moreover, during this half-century, the pact entails that everything she will come to possess will be lost. This is the key to uncovering herself. This is the key to recovering herself. She alights on earth, inhabiting the bodily form of Celia Ann Barron's to grasp this greatest of paradoxes.
Amy, we have delved down and we have heard your voice, and something came up, and it was very inspiring, and we appreciate your being here.
Thank you, Carlisle. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.